Hello, everyone. Hello, Crystal. Hello, hello. I'm here. So if you have questions, you can ask me your questions. I'm sorry, I'm still getting ready here. I'm running just a few minutes late here. The lesson today is open English questions. So if you have questions about English, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, whatever, I will try to help you. What's the difference between an apothecary and a pharmacist? Apothecary is not a commonly used word anymore. It's the old word for pharmacy. As a matter of fact, in my city had a lot of German immigrants when in the 1800s or so, and there are many old buildings in my city, and there's one I can remember that was in my old neighborhood that was an old apothecary, and they have the word apothecary still written on the building, from many, 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 many years ago. So apothecary is, you can still use it, but it sounds old. So someone will wonder why you chose that archaic word rather than the modern word. And apothecary is the place. Pharmacist is the person. Well, no, that's true. No, actually, no. An apothecary is also the pharmacist of that day. So what I would say is, if you're talking about the place, use pharmacy. If you're talking about the person, use pharmacist. Because apothecary would only make sense if you're writing a story from 200 years ago. Okay? If you're writing a story from a couple hundred years ago, then apothecary would be a word to use. But I wouldn't use it currently. I haven't been here for a long time. No, I've been here, just not as much. But I've been here. Muhammad, I do as much as I can do. But sometimes I just don't have the energy, or I don't have the motivation, or I don't have the time to be here. And please remember, I don't make any money doing this. Okay? And I spend a lot of time doing it. So I still have other things I need to do to make money. You know? So, how can you speak like a native speaker? That's a question that is a silly question because there are more than 300 million people here. They do not all speak well. So it's weird to say, how can I speak like a native speaker? Because not every native speaker speaks brilliantly. Many of them speak very, very poorly. So it's very likely that some of you, your English right now might be better than many native speakers from America. That's a fact. Okay? It does not take long to find someone here who does not speak well. Okay? I mean, even in our government, we have people who are not good speakers. So it's not a good question to say, how can I speak like a native speaker? Why don't you think about what do you really want? What do you really want, Fatima? Because speak like a native speaker or speak fluently, those are not good descriptive terms. They are very vague. They don't describe anything clearly. So instead of doing that, why don't you spend time thinking about what do you want to be able to do with English? What are your goals? And then focus on creating a plan to achieve those goals. Okay? But if your question is like, how can I improve my English? Or how can I be fluent? Or how can I speak like a native speaker? Those questions are honestly not valuable at all. Because they're too big. They're too vague. Okay? It's like asking, how can I make a forest? You start with a tree. Okay? There's some camera issues going on recently. Let me tell them about the camera problems. Okay. Sorry about that. Hello, Flavia. Anybody who says I'm fine living in this day and age is a liar. Anybody who says I'm fine, how are you? I'm fine. You're a liar. You're not fine. Nobody is fine. Not anymore. Can I explain how to use had and had been? Sure. One moment. Let me pull that up. Okay. I know you need me, Muhammad, but Muhammad, I also need me. And sometimes I'm giving too much to everyone else and not enough to myself. Okay, there has been a problem with live streams for the past 2 days. Oh, that's right. They are on holiday. I forgot. Labor Day. That's okay. I sent them a message anyway. What problems have you had for the last 2 days? Yeah, and Brian, that's even better. Start with a seed, right? But the point is, sometimes when you're trying to talk about how can I be better, that's a question that doesn't really have any value. Ask a more specific question, because a specific answer is what you need. If you ask a general question, you're going to get a general answer. How can I be better at English? Study English. How can I be like a native speaker? Study English hard. Okay, so if you ask me a big question, I'm going to give you a big answer. Okay? And it's not going to be useful. So it's better if you ask a specific question. And hello, Betty. Okay, so had been and has been. Yeah, so when you use had by itself, sorry, just had and had been, not had. Yeah, anyway. When you use had by itself, you're talking about something that happened before another past action, right? So, for example, she had finished dinner before he arrived. She had finished dinner before he arrived. So, he arrived, but before he arrived, she finished dinner. Okay, so that's why you use had. Had been is when you talk about something that's still going. That's still going, right? So it was, or a situation that was happening over time before another past event. So, for example, she had been eating dinner when he arrived. So first I said she had finished dinner before he arrived. She had finished dinner before he arrived. That's an event that finished in the past before another event that finished in the past. But the second sentence is she had been eating dinner when he arrived. She had been eating dinner. So that means when he arrived, she was still eating dinner. That was ongoing. Right? So had been is for things that were in the past that were still going, right? They're still continuing. Whereas had is just for things that were in the past. Okay? So had is for completed actions before something else in the past, and had been is for ongoing actions for something that happened in the past. Okay? Had if it's finished, had been if it's ongoing. Okay? Had been refers to two actions happening at the same time, but one predating the other in terms of its start. Right? So it started before the other one, but it's ongoing when the other one happens. Got it? Okay, thank you, Fluffy. I'm glad you think so. It has been lagging. Crystal says it's been lagging. Lagging. Can you describe the lagging a little bit more for me? Do I know Todd? I know Todd a little bit. I know who he is. He knows me. I know him, but I don't really know him. No. I've talked to him once or twice online, and I think he knows about me and I know about him, but that's about it. If you have questions about English, then ask your questions. She had been driving while she was talking to me. Right. Yeah. The video or audio freezes or delays. It happened in my stream too. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, all I've noticed is just a glitch. That's all I've noticed. His topic today was, what are you good at? That's funny. What am I good at? I don't know. You know, when you figure out what you're good at, sometimes it's best if somebody else tells you what you're good at. You know what I mean? At least then you don't seem like you're arrogant, right? Oh, I'm good at this and I'm good at that, you know. I'm a pretty good drummer. I'm a pretty good teacher. I'm a pretty good cook. So I'll say that. You're welcome. Yeah. I mean, you know, Flavia, I've spent more time playing drums than anything else in my life. So if I'm good at anything, I'm pretty good at drums. My last performance, Flavia, was in Idaho at a big ski resort. I think you know about that. And I was playing with two guys who I've never played with before, and one I'd never even met before. And we were playing music that we've never played together before. And we had one rehearsal without instruments in a hotel room. And then we played the next day. And it was pretty good. It was a pretty good show. So not too many people can do that. Not too many people have the experience to be able to put together a performance in one day, a professional performance in one day. Hello, Neo. Hello, Cats. You have problems with sentence structure. Sometimes you create awkward sentences. Okay, that sounds like that's a good one for ChatGPT to help you with. What I would suggest is you should ask ChatGPT to create some exercises for you about sentence structure, 1, and do those exercises. 2, ask ChatGPT to give you a topic to write about and write about it, and then ask it to analyze your sentence structure to tell you what is wrong or what could be better. Okay? Sentence structure is something that ChatGPT can definitely help you with. Okay? Why don't I often come on the lives? Wasim, because I don't enjoy this as much as I used to. That's why, Wasim. That's generally why I don't do it, because it's very draining and I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. And I feel like I'm not putting enough effort into my other things. So I need to step back from this. I put too many hours into this and not enough hours into my projects that I need to do for my living. Okay? So that's why I am in need of focusing on myself more. All right, Wasim? So what that means is, the number one thing that you should learn from me? The number one thing you should learn from me is that I am a self-learner. Okay? I taught myself Chinese. I've half taught myself drums, right? 50% of my learning through drums was with a teacher or school, and 50% of my learning on drums was just by myself. Okay? I taught myself how to cook. The point is, it's important to learn how to be a good self-learner. It's important, okay? Most of the things that I teach you are just the ways that I teach myself, okay? There is nothing stopping you from learning except you. Maybe I should say that again. There is nothing stopping you from learning except you. Get out of your way. How can you learn more words in English and grammar? Well, to learn more words, read. Read, 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 read. It's the number one way. It's the number one way. Okay? Read. And then learn vocabulary that's related to the vocabulary that you already know. So if you know the word happy, look up the word happy and find all the words that are similar to happy. Okay? There are many of them. So if you already know happy, you can learn the words that are related to happy, and that will be easier. Okay? So many people learn by shadowing me, including you. Well, Wasim, you can still go to my YouTube channel. There's at least, I don't know, there must be at least 1,000 hours, maybe 1,500 hours of teaching on my YouTube channel. I'm sure you have not watched all of it. So go to my YouTube channel. You can shadow that anytime you want, 24 hours a day. Can I recommend a novel to read to develop your vocabulary? Mohi, what level of reading are you at right now? I'm going to guess maybe B1 level. Are you at B1, B2? Yeah, intermediate is B1, B2. So, what kind of books do you usually like to read about? Do you like to read action, adventure, historical? Do you like to read fiction or nonfiction? Historical. Okay. Let me think about that for a moment. Let me look at some lists here of books. The Little Prince. The Little Prince would be probably good at your level. Sherlock Holmes books would probably be good at your level. Let's see. Some of these are not good at all. One moment. Still looking. The Harry Potter books would be good. They're definitely around a B1, B2 level, mostly. Those are, fictional, but still. Let's see. There are books written by a company called Penguin Publishing. I think they're called the Penguin Readers. And they make like simplified versions of books. And they have a big collection. So you can read things like Robin Hood, The Three Musketeers, Sherlock Holmes. And they are, the language is adjusted, right? So let me see if I can find that for you very quickly. One moment. I always forget about the Penguin Readers. Okay, one moment. Okay, so take a look at this. These are called the Penguin Readers, okay? And look here, you can filter by level, right? So let's just start with level 3 or 4 maybe. Let's do 4. Let's see what we have here. Breakfast at Tiffany's. Roald Dahl books would be good. Let's see. Let's go back to level 3. Let's see what's on level 3. The Wizard of Oz, A Wrinkle in Time, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. These are famous books. Animal Farm. Not this one, God no. Please throw that in the garbage if you get it. Burn it. Burn it. I don't usually recommend burning books, but this is one I would recommend. So, Bram Stoker's Dracula would be interesting, maybe. Sometimes the language in historical books is a little difficult because the language is historical language. So occasionally historical books are not a great thing. For example, Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, those are great books, but the language in them is old and therefore not very useful now and difficult. Gone with the Wind is another one. It's a very famous book, but it's not a great book for you to read because the language in it is almost useless in modern language. Okay? Okay. How can one stop translating things before speaking the English phrase? You need to practice using your English mind. I had just recently, I was thinking about my explanations about this very subject, how to think in English, right? And I teach people that usually I tell people you have two brains, okay? You have an English brain and you have in your case, maybe a Hindi brain, right? So you need to use them. And here's my new analogy. I want you to imagine that you have two swimming pools in your mind. You have two swimming pools. One is a swimming pool for your native language, and the other is a swimming pool for English, okay? And when you swim in the swimming pool for Hindi, or your native language, you swim beautifully, and it's amazing. And you are an expert swimmer, okay, in that pool. But you suck in that other pool. You are terrible in that other pool. You are scared in that other pool. But there is only one way to get better. You need to spend time swimming in that pool. So, Tanvir Stop translating by starting with simple things. If it's simple, you shouldn't need to translate it, right? Do you need to translate something like, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hungry? Probably not. You can probably think those in English directly, right? So that means you can think in English. You struggle to think with complicated things, and you are not considering the difficulty in what you're doing. So what you should do is consider, what am I able to think about in English? What am I able to do? And then build a system of practicing how to increase the level of difficulty of the things you think. But you have to start like a baby. You have to start like a baby. Okay? Oksana wants to know why what? Why did I want to burn that book? Because he's a schmuck. That's why. He will go down in history as the dumbest, smart guy of all time. I promise you. In the future, they will write about him. But they will not write about what a genius he was. They will write about what a schmuck he was. I love that word. It's a Hebrew word, but it's a word we use in America quite a bit. To be a schmuck. And he's a classic schmuck. Anyway, we're not going to go into that, though. Gone with the Wind, Catherine. I mentioned Gone with the Wind because Gone with the Wind is a book that's very popular to read in China. There are many people who have read Gone with the Wind in Chinese, which is almost not useful at all, because I'm positive that the translation of Gone with the Wind into Chinese is terrible. I'm 100% positive. I've seen it. It's not good. Because it's impossible to translate the language from 1800 America into modern English and then into modern Chinese. Can't be done. Not well. So it's going to be weird. So it's not that useful. It's definitely not useful to read in Chinese. So if you're reading Gone with the Wind, you have to read it in English. And then it will be very difficult because the language is like Shakespeare. We don't talk like that anymore. So it's going to be very difficult. Okay? And not particularly useful. Those books are classics. Those books are amazing. Those books are great. But those books require you to have a high level of English to understand them. Just like if I wanted to read old Chinese, ancient Chinese text, it would be better if I read it in the original and not try to read the translations, because the translations are probably not going to be very good. Okay? Anything that was translated from a long time ago into modern day, it's never perfect. It's never perfect. Reading it in the original is always a better thing, if possible. Okay, if you have questions, you can ask me your questions. I'm even willing to talk with somebody on stage if you are a decent human being. If you are a decent human being, I'd be happy to talk with you on stage. Anyone? No? Besso wants to talk with me. Hello, Besso.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. I'm fine.
Good. What can I do for you today?
My question is, I have a lot of words, but I can't do it or put it in a good statement.
So you have a lot of vocabulary, but you can't make a good statement.
Yes.
Okay, well, guess what? That is language. That's the art of speaking any language. So even in your native language, every day you try to use your words better. And there are some times when you use your words really well, and sometimes when you use your words really poorly. Even in your native language, that is true, right? So sometimes I have brilliant explanations, and sometimes my words just feel stupid. Like I can't put the words together the way I want to. That's just called being a human. That's part of language. Language will never ever ever remain perfect. There are good days and bad days. It's an art. Just like when I perform music as a musician, I'm a drummer. Some days I'm brilliant. Okay? Some days I have a bad day. You know? Now, if you're a professional, you try to always have a good day that's good enough for everyone, right? So, for example, if I make a mistake on stage, most people will not even know it, okay? But I will, right? But it's a mistake that's an acceptable mistake because the average person won't know, okay? So that's what you want to do, is you want to get your English to the place where if you make a mistake, it's not an important mistake. It's not a mistake that causes confusion or that causes someone to not understand you. So, how do you practice speaking? What do you do?
I try to practice, but I didn't have a person to practice with him.
Right.
So sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
this is
That's the number one problem everybody has, that you don't live in a country where you can practice English easily, right? That's why I tell everybody that the secret of language is that you don't need a partner. You need a brain. What that means is, can you think in Arabic right now? Can you think in Arabic?
yes,
Yeah. So can you think in English?
no,
There's your problem. There's your problem, Besso. So tomorrow when you wake up and you brush your teeth, can you try to do that while you're thinking in English? When you make breakfast, can you try to do that while you're thinking in English? When you drive to work, can you try to do that while thinking in English? And just think simple things, man, because the majority of thoughts we have are simple thoughts. Oh, today is hot. Today is so hot. You know, oh, I hope it doesn't rain later. Or, you know, that car looks awesome, you know, or, ooh, that food smells good. Those are simple things. So the problem is, because something is simple, you automatically use your native language, and that's where you make your mistake. Anything that you have that's a simple thought, you should try to have in English. And the more you do that, the more comfortable your English will become in your mind. And if your English is comfortable here, it will be comfortable here. Okay? So
Yeah.
I live in the United States, man, but I practice Chinese every day just by thinking it. And I just do my normal day. Whatever I normally do in my day, I just do that. But in my mind, I'm using a different language, and that keeps the language fresh. And it helps me practice. And then when I want to speak it, it's there, it's ready. But if you never spend any time thinking in English, then of course you have trouble speaking English.
So first I should first start with thinking with English.
Yeah. This is the most important thing that I teach. That most of the time, books tell you there are 4 parts of language: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. There are 5: reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking. And if you cannot make the language live in your mind, then you don't really know the language. Okay?
So after I think, should I practice with a person?
Of course, if you can. Yeah, of course, if you can. But the beauty of this system is that you do not need anybody to practice with. You just need to spend time with the language. Okay?
Oh.
I want you to think about it like a sport. Okay? Do you like soccer? Football?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So how many hours do you think you would need to practice football to be a professional?
To be professional every time.
Yeah, you'd need to practice all the time, right?
Yeah.
So think about it this way. If you want to be good at something, you need to do it more. It's very simple, right? Can you ride a bicycle, Besso? Can you ride a bicycle?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're comfortable doing it now, but you weren't when you started. You got comfortable because you did it a lot. Can you
Yeah.
swim? If you can swim, same thing. How did you become comfortable swimming? By swimming a lot. If you don't swim, then you're never going to be comfortable,
Yeah.
right? So I learned German in high school for 3 years when I was younger, and I forgotten all of it. Why? Because they told me about writing and reading and listening and speaking, but they never told me about thinking. So I was translating everything in my mind from English to German, from English to German, from English to German.
Yes.
That is not the way it's supposed to be. You are not supposed to learn how to translate. You're supposed to learn how to think.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's the secret, is you need to spend time living with the language in your mind. And the more you do that, the more comfortable it becomes, and then it's comfortable in the real world.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this system is that you don't have to worry about being embarrassed. You can make as many mistakes as you want. There's no one to make fun of you in your mind, right? So that's a great way. Now, some people will say, but what if you make mistakes? You don't know if you're doing it right or wrong. Okay. First, I will say, honestly, it's not that important. Okay. So, for example, what is better? Is it better to get in the swimming pool and swim, even if it's poor? Or is it better to stand on the side and talk about it? It's better to get in and swim. If you
Yes.
get in and swim,
Yes.
then you'll make progress. If you just stand on the side and talk about it, you're never going to get anywhere. You cannot learn
Yeah.
how to swim without getting in the water.
Yeah.
You have to get in the water, right? So the
Yeah.
same thing is true with this, right? You have to
Yeah.
learn how to think. All right?
Yeah.
And that's really the secret. And honestly, it's only scary for the first 3 months. Okay? If you can start practicing English in your mind for 3 months, after that, it will be more comfortable. And then you'll feel happy. You'll feel relaxed.
Yeah.
And you'll be excited to try to find new ways to practice your English. Okay? But yeah, if you're translating everything, that is never going to work.
Yes.
Okay? Now, at some point, there are some things that are too difficult and you have to translate them. Okay, fine. But not everything is too difficult. Many things are very simple. And if they are simple, think those things in English. Anything that you can think in English, you should. That's an opportunity to practice. If you thought, oh, I'm hungry in Arabic, if you think that, that's a missed opportunity. You could have practiced your English by saying, I'm hungry in English. Okay? So you can practice anytime this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can practice when you're watching TV. I watch TV and movies, and I just think about it in Chinese. So I'm watching TV. I'm watching a fun show. I'm watching something interesting to me. But I'm able to think about it in Chinese. And maybe it's just simple things. I'll think like, oh, I like that guy, or I don't like that girl, or I hope they don't do this, or this show is funny, or this show is terrible. I'll just think those simple thoughts in my mind in Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay?
So first thinking by English and practice.
Yeah.
So it's five rules to be good in English.
Yeah.
Thinking,
That's right.
reading,
Right.
listening.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need a plan to practice all of those. And that's the big problem with many people is they have a plan for reading, writing, listening and speaking, but no one even told them they need to think.
Mm. Yeah. Because you're right. Because sometimes I need to say something, so I put the words in my mind by Arabic, then translate it. Then I will say any words.
Right.
It's take me. Yeah.
Right. But again,
It's take
it
more time sometimes.
that's right. Yeah. But again, like look, for example, Besso, I don't speak Arabic, but I know a few words. Okay, and they're simple words, so I don't need to think about them when I say them, right? If you say assalamu alaikum to me, I'll say wa alaikum assalam, right? I don't need to
Yeah.
think about that in English. You know, if you say shukran, I can say afwan. It's like
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
those are simple. That's simple.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
It's
There's nothing wrong,
say it
right?
without
That's
thinking. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. So
Right.
start with those, okay?
Mhm.
And the more you do it,
Uh,
the easier it gets, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Right.
more
Right.
you do it, the easier it gets.
You're right, Mark.
So just keep working on it and start trying to spend more of your day thinking in English. I tell everybody that 50% of your practice should be thinking practice. Okay, so
50%.
yeah, so
Yeah.
if you spend maybe you spend 1 hour every day reading and writing and listening and speaking, or 2 hours every day doing that, that's great. But for every 1 hour that you work on reading, writing, listening, and speaking, you need 1 hour of thinking. Okay?
Yeah.
So here's 2 hours, 2 hours of practice. 1 hour is reading, writing, listening, and speaking all together, and 1 hour is thinking. That's 2 hours of practice. Okay, so 50% of your practice should be thinking.
Okay.
Okay?
I will do it.
Yeah, and just start simply. Like, I can't, when I started this, I had to start with only simple things. So maybe only 5% of my day, not long, just a little bit. I would try to just think in English. But then every day or every week, I tried to use more and more of my Chinese mind. You have to do the same thing with English.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, Besso. Well, keep working on it and come back and let me know how that worked for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome, and take care, my friend. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Let's see. Never gonna to work or never gonna work. Never gonna work. Gonna means going to. So if you say never gonna to work, you're saying never going to work. Okay, Raj? So the last one, never gonna work, is correct. Because gonna means going to. Okay? Majid says, I think time is an important criteria. Of course it is. Yeah, but what's important is that when you're an adult, you have to find creative ways to learn during your day. So find ways to make learning part of your lifestyle. That will solve your time problems. Okay, if you're only trying to study, like, oh, okay, well, I'm busy this week, so I can only study for 1 hour each night. Okay, good, but it would be much better if you tried to find 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there and 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there and an hour here and an hour there that you can practice through the day. Okay, and you can practice when you're in the elevator. You can practice when you're in the back of the taxi. You can practice when you're, driving to work or walking to the park. You can practice. There are times when you can practice. You're just not. Okay, to learning when you're an adult is different than when you're a child. When you're a child, you have study time. When you're an adult, you have life. So that means you have to make life study time. You have to make your life study. Okay? You've been studying English by yourself for about a decade. Good. I've been studying Chinese for about that long. How much time do I think is good every day? As much time as you can. Asma. As much time as you can. But I will say that I still think that quality is always better than quantity. So, quality time of studying. If you have a good method and you have a good system, then that matters. Memorizing is the worst way to learn. So, that is what I call inefficient learning. So if you say, I study 4 hours every day, I memorize 4 hours every day, I think it would be better if you did 30 minutes of quality study instead of 4 hours of memorizing. Or, okay, we'll say 1 hour of quality study is better than 4 hours of memorizing. Okay? You've just come to this way. You speak your mind in English unconsciously. Good. That is the way it should happen, but it just doesn't happen for many, many, many people. For self-learners, you're likely to figure this out by yourself. But people who wait for someone else to give them the answer, they usually don't know that they should ask for this answer, so they don't find it. Thank you, Catherine. Is a lot of reading helpful? Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it is. You know, I'll be honest, I think reading is probably one of the most important things we all should be doing more of in this era. Because social media has made us terrible readers. Social media has made us stupid. The majority of you are too scared to read a book. Am I wrong? The majority of you are too scared to read a book. I don't have time to read books. I don't have time. It's too hard. It's too boring. You would rather watch a movie. You would rather scroll on your phone and watch 5-minute YouTube videos. You have no patience. And even more of a problem. Do you know why you should read? You should read because reading is practice for your imagination. And if you don't know that, guess what? Imagination is something that must be practiced. Imagination is something that must be honed, developed, cultivated. Okay? And that requires practice. Reading is the most brilliant way to practice your imagination. Audiobooks are fine. I approve of audiobooks. I'm okay with audiobooks. That's the one shortcut to reading that I'm okay with, especially if you're non-native. It's okay with me, but it's more important that you read. Yeah. What's the best way to develop an American accent? Well, what's the best way to develop a Hindi accent? First, you have to choose an accent because there's more than one accent, right? There's more than one. Do you know how many accents we have in the United States? Dozens. We have dozens of accents here. Okay, mine is one accent. If you want to work on this accent, then you should find people who speak like me and shadow them. Okay? I have what's called the Midland, Ohio accent. It's one of the most clear accents. So, pick an accent, then find people who use that accent, and then follow them. And then you need to look at your mouth and think about your mouth and figure out what are you doing differently with your mouth than I am. Because that's why you don't sound like me. If you want to learn accent, you're telling me that you need to learn mouth positions. You don't have the correct mouth position. When you speak English, you are using the mouth positions from Hindi. And that's why you have an accent. Every language has grammar and vocabulary, and it also has mouth positions. And those mouth positions are important for proper pronunciation. Okay? Hello, Lynn. Podcasts are good too. Yeah, podcasts are good for listening practice, not for reading practice. I think for reading, audiobooks are really good for reading in two ways. One, you can just listen to someone read while you do some work. But what would be better for you if you're an English learner? If you're an English learner, then the best way to use an audiobook would be to listen to the audiobook as you follow with your eyes on the paper. So buy the book, buy the audiobook, listen to the audiobook, and then use your eyes to follow along. That would be very beneficial for you. Do I think there will be no need in the future to study any language because technology will translate? No, I still think we'll need languages. Languages are they're a crucial part of culture. So actually, I'm hoping that technology will facilitate more language learning and the preservation of more languaes, because I don't know, you guys probably don't know this, but there are hundreds of languages in the world that are in danger of going extinct. We have lost many, many languages already over the years, and we will lose more if they are not preserved. So I'm hoping technology will actually help to preserve some of these languages and help to encourage more people to actually want to learn them. Because you're right, technology will affect language learning and learning in general. That many people will say, well, I don't need to do that. I can just translate, use the technology. But it's also true that the technology will make it easier to learn the language. Okay, so technology, right now, you can go on ChatGPT and just say, please teach me English, and it will. And you can talk to it, and you can give it books to go through with you, like a PDF, or websites to reference. You can ask it to help you find all the best websites, right? So technology is there, and technology can always be used as a crutch, or it can be used as a vehicle. You want me to recommend a book or series which is my favorite? Majid, what kind of book do you want me to recommend? What kind of books do you usually read? Give me, when people ask me recommend a book, that's such a big thing. Tell me more. What level of book and what style? Do you like mystery? Do you like romance? Do you like action? Do you like adventure? Do you like historical novels? Do you like future science fiction novels? Give me some kind of an idea of what you're interested in. Catherine, Latin is not quite extinct yet. It's not quite extinct. There are people who speak Latin. We call it a dead language because it's not officially used anywhere anymore. But it's not entirely dead. There are people who know it and still study it and can speak it. Now, Sumerian, Hunnic, Prussian, I'm willing to bet Prussian. There are probably still some people who know it. Probably some. But you're right. Some of the other ones are probably lost to the ages, except for written, right? So Sumerian, we have written stuff from Sumerians, but nothing spoken, obviously. In all aspects as a whole, wow. That's a hard question. I'm thinking. I have a few books that are kind of general history books, right? Those are pretty good. I'm a big fan of history, so I study a lot of history, read a lot of history. So there are a couple I could recommend like that, but in general, I can't really think of any book that's like well, this is a book that's good for anyone about anything. You know, books are like music. Everybody has a taste, you know? It's like food. Everybody has a taste, right? And my taste is not the taste of many. I have very specific tastes in both music, food, and reading. So I don't know if anything I read would be valuable to you. Or I should say not valuable, but interesting to you. Right, there you go, Prussian, there you go. So, what about a series? Do you mean a book series? Oh, I do have one. Ah, yes. Okay, I have a good one for you. Oh, so you're talking about TV series, but I do have a good book series that you should look at. There is a series of books called the Oxford Introductions series. I have, I think, about 100 of them. I can't remember how many there are in total, but I have about 100 of them. These are small books. They're about 100 pages each, I think. They're not long. And every one of them is basically an introduction to a subject, right? So, for example, the Renaissance. There'll be a 100-page book that will explain everything you need to know about the Renaissance. Or Da Vinci. There's a 100-page book that explains everything you need to know about Da Vinci. Those are brilliant. I love those books. And those are used in many, many, many universities for 101 classes. 101 means the basic level class. So I highly recommend those. Have I watched 1923? I have not watched 1923 myself, no. But I do love historical series. Band of Brothers is a good historical series if you want to know about World War II stuff from the point of view of an American. Let's see. The Tudors is a good historical series that deals with Tudor England. There's another one called... what's it called? One moment. The Medicis. I think it's called the Medicis. Yeah. That's a good if you like historical series about real, like, you know, the 1923 is a historical series, right? So yeah, here, the Tudors. That's one about England. The Medicis. Let me make sure that's right. Oh, it's just called Medici. Yeah, Vikings is great too. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I've been recently watching Vikings again. Vikings is great, sure. You know, so if you like those, then if you like Vikings, then you'll probably like Medici and the Tudors. They are somewhat similar. If you want something with a lot of blood and guts, a little bit more wild, Spartacus is a great series. It's only for adults, but it's a great series. Let me think. I mentioned Band of Brothers. What else? Let's see. Oh, I like this one too. Shogun is a newer one that was on. Whoops, sorry. It should be SHO. Shogun is a TV show on FX that's pretty good about Japan. The Borgias, that's the other one. That's a really good one. The Borgias has a very famous actor in it. What's his name again? Jeremy Irons. Jeremy Irons is a great actor. He's in the Borgias. What else? For TV shows, that's what I would say. Oh, I watched. Let's see, Marco Polo is okay. It's a little bit. It's not exactly accurate, but it's interesting. And there's another one I watched not too long ago that I thought was awesome. It's called the Decameron, and it's a series that's based on Shakespeare. Or no, I'm sorry, not Shakespeare. Boccaccio. I'm sorry, Giovanni Boccaccio. He was a famous. He was a writer, poet, whatever. He was a famous Italian Renaissance humanist, right? So he was a famous Renaissance guy, right? And he wrote this series called The Decameron, and it was all about a group of people who were living during the plague in Europe, and it's kind of like COVID, right? When we had COVID, everybody was inside, right? And nobody could go out, and so they were all inside, and lots of weird things happened because we're all spending time together inside, and we don't want to go outside because we're afraid of the sickness. Same thing with the I can't speak, Decameron. It's a TV series about Europe during the plague and a group of people that had to try to get through it. And they have relationships and they fight and they argue and they fall in love and all kinds of weird, funny stuff happens. I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. And that's right. It means 10 days because that's what it's a story about people who were cloistered in a small place for 10 days. They had to make it through this plague for 10 days. Yeah. So it's like all the stories of what happens to them. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant because it's a modern adaptation of something that was written during the Renaissance. But it really does have so much value still today. The characters in those it's the same as today. People act the same way, so it's very enlightening to look at. Yeah. Giovanni Boccaccio. Yeah. Nightfall was pretty good. Barbarians is okay. If you want to see a really funny one, there's a really funny one called Norseman. I think that one's hilarious. It's like a comedy version of Vikings. So if you want to see like a comedy version of the Vikings, then watch Norseman. It's funny. Okay. Lena wants to talk with me. And then Majid, I'll try to get you up after Lena if she's here. Oh, okay. I guess you're up, Majid.
Hi.
Hello, Majid. How are you?
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good.
Thank you for your time.
It's
I
my pleasure.
I appreciate it. I think on behalf of everybody, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be appreciated. So, what can I do for you? How can I help you?
I just wanted to introduce you myself. Actually, my name is Majid, and I was born in the Middle East, in Iran, and actually I was born in my hometown, which is called Naro.
Naro,
It's a
okay.
small town in in one of the central provinces of Iran.
Is it near Tehran or
Um,
how far from Tehran?
Approximately 200 kilometers away from Tehran.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. My hometown actually is a lovely town, and it has good weather, and it has a good climate, and there are approximately 3,000 households there that live there,
Okay, okay.
and it's a lovely town. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks nice.
I'm not my yeah. Yeah. Do you wanna do you wanna go to room or stay at the yard?
Well, I love your beautiful yard, but the signal might not be perfect. You might lose your internet a little bit here. But let's try. Let's try outside because it's a beautiful day. I can see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I was, as I said, I was born in Iraq, which is my hometown, and I graduated in 23. And after that, um, I I searched for work in Iran. As you know, Iran is imposed by a lot of sanction, and we are um, apart from the outer world, and we just have to find work in our country.
Hmm.
And as when I studied and I graduated, I was difficult time finding jobs. And after a while, I realized that I was an engineer. I had master degrees, but I was apart from the outer world. I even couldn't speak English, which is international language system, it's an international communication system. So I decided to part beside my job, beside my education, beside my study and work and exercise, I study English. So I've been studying English for a decade by self-learning, and then after a while I um, applied for a university in Tehran, and I was there with a lot of my friends that have a lot of dream for immigration and for study for everything. And I just come to the Canada for 2 years, and I was there, and my father passed away 2 years ago, and then
I'm sorry.
I was forced to come back beside my mother and sister, um, it's fun. I just,
Where were you in Canada?
I went to Toronto. for 2 years.
Toronto. Ah, what a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful city. Great city.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. So you were there for 2 years or 3 years?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. And did you like it?
Yeah. Yeah. I like it, and I I had I had so many imagination about the abroad, about the migration, and it was a good experience for me to be there,
That's good.
and I love it. I love
That's
it.
good. Yeah, but I understand when you have to
Yeah.
go back for your family. I understand. I take care of my parents now too, so
Yeah.
I understand. So, well, Majid, your English sounds great. Your English sounds great.
Thanks.
Yeah,
It's kind of you.
I think maybe 3 or 4 thousand followers in Iran, and I talk to many Iranians, and I think that Iran probably has the best English in the Middle East.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
In matter of in matter of quality or quantity.
I think both. So, Majid, I have about 82,000 followers on Hello Talk, and I've been on here for about 11 and a half years. And I've talked to people in every single country in the world. And I have many, many followers in Egypt and many, many followers in every Middle Eastern country. But I'm always amazed at the English level of Iranian speakers. I'm always amazed. So I think Iran has the best system. At the very least, you have the best system for teaching English, because usually the Iranians I speak with have really good English.
Yeah.
I'm always
I agree.
surprised.
Really good.
Yeah. So I don't mean that to say, I'm not saying anything bad about any of the other countries. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it was always very interesting to me. You know, Americans and Iranians, we don't talk to each other enough. We should talk to each other more. If we did, we wouldn't have so many problems, right?
No. You haven't any problem. I think the problem is about politics and about
Right.
the job.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. We don't have any problems at all. You know, my government, that's not me. They don't talk to me. They don't ask me anything, right? So I can't do anything about them, just like you can't do anything about what yours does. But the problem is that 30 years ago, when we talked about these two places, you had no knowledge of my life, and I had no knowledge of your life. And if you don't know someone else's life, then it's too easy to make it up. You make it up in your head. So 30 years ago, I think many Iranians, they had some weird idea of what all Americans are like. And I think that all Americans 30 years ago, we had some weird idea of what all Iranians were like. But now we can talk to each other, and I can see your house, and I can see, your yard, and you can see my house and my yard, and that's completely different and new and amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think we at the moment we live in a small world. As we get
Yeah.
big,
Yeah, it can
Yeah,
be. So the world can be small in a good way or a bad way. There are some people who live in a small world because they don't talk to anybody anywhere. They only live in their small town. And they only have small ideas because of their small, limited view of the world. But there are some people who speak to people all over the world, and they try to learn things about the whole world. And that's when we say it's a small world. And so when we say it's a small world, that can have either a positive connotation or a negative connotation. One means you live in a bubble and you don't have a good view because you don't have any experience. And one means you have experience, you have seen the world, and so you see that you're not that different than I am, and I'm not that different than you are. That's when we say it's a small world. You know, like maybe you like pizza and I like pizza. Hey, we both like pizza. You know, now we have something in common, you know?
I think it is an inevitable part of the nowadays life and in the near future.
I hope so.
Whether,
I hope
whether we
so.
like it or not, we live in a small world. We are
Yeah.
getting closer and closer.
Yeah, I
We
hope
must
so.
just artificial intelligence, just AI.
Yeah.
AI is some people think that AI is gonna um, take their job, but whether you like it or not, you
Yeah.
will lose your job not to the AI,
Yeah.
but to the people that use AI.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And the truth is that jobs need to change. Like for example, you know, a few thousand years ago, everybody was a farmer. Are we all farmers now? No. You know, and a few thousand years before that, we weren't farmers. We were hunters and gatherers. Are we all hunters and gatherers now? No, we're not. So jobs change. You know, that's just the nature of evolution. You know, over time things change. And so it might be difficult because this change that happens quickly is usually painful.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's bad. like
not at
you
all.
know, sometimes when you taste medicine it tastes bad, but it's medicine, it's good for you. Right? So the same thing is true with this change that we're going through with technology. It might feel bad in many, many, many ways, and it is in many, many ways. But it also might be really good in many, many, many ways, hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your situation in USA? Uh,
Do you mean...
What's about the weather? What about the?
Oh, well, the weather's beautiful today. I live in Ohio, which is in the middle of the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my state is considered part of the Midwest of America. But it's a weird term, the Midwest, because basically everything in the middle of the United States is called the Midwest. So it's weird because if we have a Midwest, then you would think we also have a Middle East, but we don't. When we say, I live in the Middle East, that means I live in Saudi Arabia or I live in, Iran. You know, the Middle East means over there, right? But in America, we don't have a Middle East here in the United States. We only say the Midwest. That's everywhere in the middle, right? So I live in Ohio. Technically, it should be the East, but it's just called the Midwest. You know, the weather's nice. You know what I tell people about America? America is a beautiful place if you're rich. But the thing is, if you're rich, everywhere is a beautiful place. So, you know, I mean, it's nice, but I will say that right now the politics are really not good. I don't recommend coming here, visiting here. I don't recommend studying here right now. I think Canada would be a better choice for anybody. I'm an American.
Why? Because I'm Iranian or at all?
No. Not because of you. Not because of you at all. No. I'm saying just the politics here right now are very, very bad. And so it's not a good time to come here. I usually recommend everybody, please come here. We want you to come here. I'm only telling you that I don't think it's a good idea now, because right now there are some people here who are not very friendly about anybody who's a foreigner. Right? So I love people from everywhere. That's the way I feel. That's how my family is. But there are some people here who are very xenophobic. Do you guys know that word? Xenophobia? Xenophobia is a word that means you're afraid of people from other places. Yeah, and Queen says all Americans are foreigners. That's basically true. You're right, Queen. But unfortunately, not everybody understands that. Not everyone remembers that, and not everybody understands that. So anyway, Ilya says Canada is very cold. America's better. I
I
still.
think Canada is very cold.
It is. It is.
Canada is very cold.
It
Yeah,
is. Yeah, it is cold. But I think cold is better than politically dangerous. Okay, and so
Yeah.
right now I'm just telling you, I don't want to go into the details. I don't want to get into the politics of it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I don't recommend coming here right now because I think that things are a little bit too politically difficult here right now.
Yeah. For example, before the 1979 revolution in Iran,
Right.
yeah, before that,
Right.
So,
Different.
yes,
Very
so
different.
So many entrepreneurs
Yeah.
from entrepreneurs level.
You
so
know,
many
we
wealthy people in Iran.
we
migrated
see
to
that
the
all the
States.
time. We see that all the time, Majid. On my Facebook,
Yeah.
I see that the pictures of that all the time. It comes up often on my Facebook about pictures of Iran a long time ago and how different it was.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Change happens. Change happens.
Yeah.
Change
I
happens.
just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that so many people in Iran before revolution, immigrated to USA, and all of them are there,
Yeah.
are living there.
Yeah, I have a student. I have an Iranian student who lives in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
She lives in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
and she's been here for about 10
Yeah.
years.
I think I have done a study, and I communicated and I interacted virtually with so many people, with so many Iranian people around the world, and I just came to the conclusion that the USA, the persons that are in the USA are more pleasant with their life. I don't know why. Maybe because their background, they are more wealthier than the people that immigrated to another countries apart from the USA. I don't know
Well,
why.
I will tell you that we have 330 million people, and some of them are like that, but many of them are not. Okay.
Yeah.
So, when I was a boy, I was taught that my country is a melting pot, which means a mix of people from everywhere. And we celebrated that. We celebrated the fact that we had people from everywhere. Majid, when I was in the 3rd grade, I still remember we had an assignment for homework. We had to go home and they asked us, find out where your family is from and write about it. And then cook food from your heritage and bring it in for everybody. Oh no, we lost Majid. I bet it's the time limit. Anyway, let me tell my story. So, my whole class, we had to go home and we had to write a little report about where our families are from because, we're all from someplace else. Okay? And then we had to cook some food and bring it in the next day to share with everybody. And it was amazing. We had food from Mexico, and we had food from China, and we had food from Japan, and we had food from Germany, and from France, and from Slovakia, and from Ireland, and we had food from Brazil. We had food from so many different places, and it was all delicious. And that's when you realize how awesome it is to live in a multicultural society. And you recognize that all these people come from a different place, and we're all here sharing our backgrounds together. That's the America that I grew up with. That is not the America that we have right now. Unfortunately, we have some people who feel the way I do, and we have some people who, they're afraid. They're afraid of change. And they're afraid of things that are different. And unfortunately, they also are afraid of learning. And if you're afraid of learning, and you're afraid of change, and you're afraid of things that are different, that creates a very, very dangerous environment. So, unfortunately, I think that that's the environment I live in right now. So that's why I'm saying, I love all of you. I hope that you guys can come here, but I don't recommend it right now. Please wait about 5 years. Wait about 5 years. It should be better, okay? Give us 4 years to finish this insanity and 1 year to try to recover, and then hopefully it will be better. Okay? Miriam says, I think America is a country of opportunity for everyone and the people are kind and welcoming. Again, Miriam, many of them are. You're right about many of them. But not all of them. Not all of them. And they're, right now, Miriam, this is the first time in my life when I've had to tell people I don't think this is a good time to come here. Okay, so Miriam, I don't say those words easily. I don't say those words casually. Okay? I don't say those words proudly. I'm not proud of that. I'm telling you that I don't want you to come here because I care about you. That's why I'm telling you not to come here right now. You went there in 2009, it was fine. In 2009, it was fine. In 2009, I would absolutely tell you to come here. Okay? And last year, I told people, yeah, come. But things have changed. Things have changed. So, yeah, during Obama's era, it would have been great for you to come. Yeah. So, anyway, again, I don't want to get into the politics too much. Okay? But, yeah, I can't talk about that, Abid. That's too much into the politics. Okay? All I will say is I don't agree with almost anything he does. Okay? I don't agree with anything that that jackass does. Okay? Have I ever thought I would go live in another place? I did used to live, I lived in Taiwan for 4.5 years, Tran. And I have considered going back there or maybe going to another place like Vietnam or Thailand. I've considered, maybe going to another place in Asia. I love Asia. Although I've also considered going to Europe. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, guys, I don't want to talk about this too much. But I love my country, and I think that it's a great country. I just think that we're going through a very difficult time right now. And because we're going through a difficult time, it's, mom and dad are fighting. Okay? And when mom and dad are fighting, it's not a great time to have visitors. All right? That's really the point. Okay, mom and dad are fighting here right now. And when mom and dad are fighting, that's not when you invite guests over to the house. Okay? So, anyway. Okay, guys, it's been an hour and a half and I need to go. Okay? It's been an hour and a half and I need to go. But I will try to be back again. Maybe if I have time, I'll try to come back tomorrow for a stream. All right. If you want to learn English, you should follow me. Okay. If you want to study, go to my website. You can find materials to study on my website. Go subscribe. If you want to follow me on YouTube, you can watch hundreds of hours of me answering questions about English. Okay? So go to my website, sign up, subscribe, and you can study English there for free. Go to my YouTube channel, sign up and subscribe. You can watch hundreds of hours of me answering questions about grammar and vocabulary and pronunciation and reading and writing and listening and speaking and everything. Okay? Miriam says, what does someone being straight-laced mean? Straight-laced means conservative. Yeah, it means not wild, not crazy, kind of calm and not wild. Okay? Thank you, Mike. That's nice of you to say. I try. Okay, guys. Not narrow-minded. No. Straight-laced. Maybe a little bit narrow-minded. It's conservative is what it means, Miriam. Okay? He's straight-laced means he's conservative. He doesn't party. He doesn't drink. He's not wild. He's not crazy. He has very boring interests. He's kind of straight-laced. Okay? He doesn't do anything different or wild or crazy. Okay? So I would say it's a little bit narrow-minded, a little bit not wild. Okay? Okay, I gotta go. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching and following and listening. Bye.